pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome to this February 14th Board of Supervisors meeting. And it is 9 o'clock. Let's open up with, do we have any changes to a tentative agenda?
No.
Jimmy? Any changes to the
No,
agenda?
the only thing I want to mention is all you guys out there better hit the flower shop. Today's out.
So Mr. Broker told me this morning.
Final hour, get after it. All right, we'll start with the back. We have Sue, our new payroll clerk. Anything this morning? Just want to say hi, want to wave to everybody? That's Sue, everybody. That's Sue. Sue is in the house. We're glad to have you. Glad to see you this morning. County maintenance, Rodney, please.
Good morning, been really busy, a lot of different things. Had a joint county safety committee meeting last week, kind of reviewed and approved the guidelines for the entities that are in the joint county safety commission. Also went over the budget and approved it as well. Coming up, we got, I got to thank Brian and his staff for working on the courthouse south parking lot, so can hopefully finally review over some of those documents and hopefully get that out for bid, hopefully put it out this week. So if anybody's interested, keep a look on the county website, there'll be a link there. Other than that, have an agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. Our county sheriff, Kevin Glendale.
Good morning. Just another eventful week. We continue to tackle the tasks in front of us. Our jails, we're up to 88, but good news, we have 9 going out to Oakdale tomorrow. That's quite the number of transports to remove from our jail, so we'll be happy to see those numbers go down. Waiting on 8 to go to the halfway house, kind of typical there. But continue to try to manage the numbers out there, and hopefully tomorrow will be looking a lot better.
Oh, by the way, I met your daughter in over at West Burlington, 5th grade class for DARE.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's quite brilliant. I said, "Are you sure Kevin's your dad?"
She takes after her mother.
I'm surprised as well.
But very sharp kid, man, sharp kid. Anyway,
Pretty witty. She keeps me
you're
on my
doing
toes.
good. You're doing good. Colin Gerst, it.
Just keeping busy like always, but I got nothing to report, so.
Jared, land use.
Morning. Well, it's a little early this year, but we've had quite a bit of inquiries. This past week has been pretty wild. I don't know if it's just the weather or what, but just asking about possible subdivisions, possible building or floodplain permit. So it's shaping up to be a busy year, but nothing particularly noteworthy. I don't have anything on the agenda today. So that's all I got.
Krista Poggemiller, Health Department.
Good morning. We're just keeping busy. Nothing new to report.
Smile on your face, we'll take that. Janelle Nellie Longquist.
Good morning.
Treasurer's Office.
We're busy as well. I do have an agenda item for our last new hire.
Lisa Schaefer, Attorney's Office.
Staying busy as usual. Did want to give kudos to the website. We have 2 different types of interns in our office. We have undergrad interns who work with our victim services and some of our other support staff. And then we have legal interns who actually work under our attorneys and have a limited license to practice law. We've already had people calling in for summer internships just based off of the website alone. So to know that younger people are actually looking at it, utilizing it, and because I know for the legal intern that doesn't actually open up the 2 universities until today. And we've already had inquiries from people who just found it on the website. So I just thought I'd give kudos out to that. People are looking at it and responding accordingly. Last week we had an opioid funds meeting. We had a lot of really good ideas from several of the people, doing some follow-up on feasibility of some of those. We'll be meeting again next month. And hopefully, within the next month or two, we'll have some ideas to present to the board for how to disperse some of those funds.
Sounds good. County Auditor, Sarah Marie.
Good morning. Just a reminder, Monday is a holiday, so I will need agenda items by Thursday, and payroll stuff needs to be put in Friday. Please and thank you. Other than that, just business as usual.
All right. And last but not least, Brian Carter, County Roads.
Good morning. Plenty of stuff going on. We are out doing some trees still. Did a little bit of light blading yesterday, but it just got too soft in the afternoon, so have a few folks on the gravel roads that are a little impatient, demanding blading and rock, but the conditions just aren't quite there to do real work without messing things up, especially when they've got rain in the forecast the next day. So, sometimes it's hard to remember it's February with the weather we've had. But the riprap job on 165th finished up, so that one is a good project to wrap up. I've mentioned it before, but it is done now. Sometime I'll run you by that. And I do want to mention that there are a couple Senate file bills out there that I don't think have particularly good impacts for local entities. I don't know why our state legislature is so determined to screw with counties and cities. I would think they'd have plenty of stuff to fix on their own front, but it seems to be a big task of theirs. So I mentioned that we might want to do some sort of an organized reach out. And I know that you guys stay in touch with our legislators, and I have too in the past, but one of them has to do with, I didn't read the bill at all, but I believe some freezes on maximum increases for revenues basically, and the other is, it's vast. I mean, it gets rid of the local option sales tax, and then there's a bunch of rules that they bury in the middle of it, and I got through about half of it and couldn't take it much longer. So just something to be aware of. I haven't heard a whole lot from the state level on them, but I don't think they were good for us from what I could tell. I guess I'll wrap up by saying Brian Ross with Klinger is here, and I'm sure he'd love to hang around till the tail end for public input, but he's kind of the county rep or on the pipeline side of it, so maybe he could get a few minutes during this and let him get out here if he doesn't want to sit around here.
Well, since Brian's running everything right down here anyways. Yeah, Brian, come on.
Appreciate the opportunity to speak. I spoke with Elizabeth Burns Thompson yesterday, VP of Government and Public Affairs with Navigator CO2. I had several questions. First of all, anticipated construction date. That's kind of slipped to second quarter, third quarter next year. I think they've anticipated that all along, but right now that's what it looks like. I had questions about, will the construction start in northwest Iowa or southeast Iowa? Basically, they have between 10 and 12 spreads that they're looking at, and they'll all start at the same time. So that's a big project over about 900 miles. We had heard rumors that on the Illinois side it was dead, but they actually are pulling their Illinois Commerce Commission docket, and they're going to submit a more robust one. So there's about 500 miles, I think, in Illinois. So that's all connected. So that's basically it. We were asking for some of the timing on when we'd start receiving information on parcels and things like that, and I think they're still working on that. They've done some surveying and they're working on their environmental and that kind of stuff. So it's not a huge update, but I haven't been before you in quite a while, and I wanted to let you know that that's the current status as of yesterday. And if you have questions, I can take that back and follow up.
Brian, what I'd like to know is, they're gonna probably plan on using eminent domain. I have a problem with that. A big problem with it. I don't think that if you own this land, if you don't want a pipeline running across it. Now, the way I see this pipeline, it's not like putting gas, natural gas where everybody uses that. This is for this company that's recapping this carbon. what value is it to us? They're pumping it back in the ground.
Yeah, I understand your point, and in fact, you're not the first person or even probably the 1,000th person that has that same concern. There are a lot of comments and on the docket, and they're flowing in constantly, and they address those things. And it is a regulated hazardous material pipeline is the way they look at it, so it has to go through our utilities board. I wouldn't doubt that they'll use eminent domain where they have somebody who does not want to, and I think they may work around them if they can, but I'm not certain of that. But I think if you can, any person, any resident, any board, any commission, board of supervisors, you can make comments, you can file objections, you can state your point and make it clear. I mean, that's clearly something you can do, all of us can do, especially if you're in the role that you have as a county trustees or supervisors, you can make that statement, absolutely. And they have to address that. I don't know how they will, but I've asked a number of times, is there any way this project's not gonna happen? And I keep getting the same answer, no, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
So eminent domain seems like it's gonna happen too, fortunately. And I'm not the expert, but yeah.
I believe that power of eminent domain has to be given to them though through the process from the utility board. It's
Yeah.
not something that's automatic, but it is something that is out there because of the power of the Iowa utility board in that process.
Right, and through their docket and their hearings and all of their rigorous process, they have to vet every possibility, and before they would ever grant eminent domain. Well, anyway, yeah. I can answer anybody, you want me to answer his question?
Or go ahead.
Is there somewhere online where we can go read more about this and see a map?
Yeah, that's a good question. I tell you what, there is a docket, and I didn't write the docket number down, but you can go to the Iowa Utilities Board, and I don't have it with me. I got it on I pinned it and bookmarked the page, and I check it every few days, and I kind of follow what's going on there. But it's in there, and you can see all that. They have filed some recent maps. In fact, if you want a copy of the map that I've got, the latest map is of October 19th. I can pass that around, you guys can look at it, you can have it. But that's all available on that docket on the Iowa Utilities Board. Those are two maps, they're not the same map. So they're working through all of the stuff that they have to do to get their permit.
Be nice instead of eminent domain, if what they should do is they could design 2, 3, 4 routes, go through there, said, okay, the first one we complete, we buy that property, and if nobody's selling or people aren't selling, there's a guard to keep raising your price until eventually you get it, then you would be paying the market price of that, and you aren't taking somebody's land against their will.
Yeah, prior to the, what I would call, and this is not negative or positive, prior to the environmental movement, they would have tried to put these kind of things in less desirable land. But that less desirable land also has threatened endangered species, wetlands, and so they're balancing all of those cultural and environmental impacts versus property owner impacts, and they have to take into account everything, so.
Any other questions for Brian?
Thank you. And I'll let you know if I hear more, probably, we'll just keep monitoring, that's what we're doing, so, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Any correspondence, gentlemen?
I have none.
Okay, bring this to discussion and vote. First, we have resolution 2023-008, the gifting of Water Spark to the city of Danville. And this isn't a gift, actually. They've already been handling it, but we're taking care of business today. It says, whereas pursuant to an agreement between the city of Danville and Des Moines County Supervisors, in accordance with Iowa Code Section 331.361, the county will gift 1.71 acres of real property to the city of Danville, Iowa. In particular, the county intends to give the Water Park area described below the city of Danville with a legal description of said parcel of land being, and it gives the description. It says, whereas said transfer of land shall be made a quitclaim deed transferring the above described property to the city of Danville, Iowa. fee simple, subject to easement, agreements, or restrictions of record. Whereas the county shall receive $1 and other valuable consideration for the conveyance of said interest of land. So now therefore, let it be resolved by Des Moines County, Iowa, that the county of Des Moines will gift the city of Danville, Des Moines County, Iowa, 1.71 acres, more or less, or real property as described above by quitclaim deed for $1 and other valuable consideration, that the chairperson and auditor are hereby authorized and directed to execute and attest respectively all the conveyance documents. Anybody want to speak on this? Would you like to say anything before we vote, Judy?
We really appreciate this. We've been looking at an eyesore for years out there, and if anybody's been by there lately, it looks so much different.
It's looking good.
Motion to approve the resolution.
I will second that motion.
Moved in second.
And I agree with Jerry, people ought to go out and look at it, they've cleaned it up, they've took some terrible looking hedge or whatever it was out of there. And it's, they put a pad out, they're gonna put a shelter house out there. They got a fence around it, and they keep it mowed. It's nice looking when you go to town now. Before it's kind of a, like Jerry said, it was an eyesore.
Well done. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. I need to stamp the quitclaim deed. Yeah, if I missed anything, let me know and I'll get it back here. Brings us to B, which is resolution 2023-009, setting time and date of SF3 or 634, total maximum property tax dollars, public hearing. The Board of Supervisors hereby fixes the time and place for a public hearing for a total maximum property dollars. Public hearing for Tuesday, March 7th, 2023 at 9 a.m. in the boardroom at the Des Moines County Courthouse. Can I get a motion?
An interesting thing happened on the way to this hearing, as I mentioned last week. The legislature's in a big hurry to pass that rollback bill. And do you remember the hurricane about 5 years ago that was coming across the Bahamas and heading for Florida? All of a sudden it got to the Bahamas and it just stopped there. Well, it stopped over the house. It's been there for a few days. The last I heard was I got a text this morning that it would be passed tomorrow. So if it passes, then rollback is a done deal, which is, I think, is gonna happen. If it doesn't, and they pass something differently, then it would have to go to some sort of a joint committee to iron the differences out. I don't foresee that, or if it couldn't pass at all, then the existing law would remain in existence. So I guess we need to do this today because rural counties have weekly newspapers. We have to get them that information by Friday to get it published by next Friday, then we have 14 days, or whatever it is, till we have to have that public hearing. As days go along, that'd be the last day we could have this. So, I'd like to set that, and if it does get passed tomorrow, I'm gonna try to make sense of this. If it does get passed tomorrow or Thursday, we can change that date to look just exactly the effect that has on our budget. Other than that, if it doesn't get passed, we will go ahead with the way things are now. I don't know any better way to explain it than that, but it's out there like, I can't believe we're voting on something that the legislature hasn't voted on yet. So, we've got an attorney here. Has anything I've said made sense enough so that we can apply it? I mean, we could revoke that public hearing, we could just take it off the agenda
Yeah,
You
next
can
week,
always
right?
remove it if necessary, yeah.
Okay, I would make a motion to approve that, unless Jim already did while I was talking.
Nope.
Nope, I've just been listening. You made sense.
Well, blind squirrel in an acorn, you know how that goes.
Moved and second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yes.
You know, water runs downhill. So
There's
does
another
sewage.
term for that, for plumbers and pipe fitters.
Yeah. I said sewage does too, and we always get on that end of it when the state does. so
We're at the,
that's-
we're at the bottom of the stairs when they start kicking it down. You know, as long as we're talking about that, what Brian mentioned about that property tax bill, it's got all these, you know, we're gonna limit this levy to that amount. The tax base varies in this state. If you take a pre-rollback tax base, Des Moines County's tax base is gonna be in the vicinity of $83,000 per capita. Lee County's, I think, is in the $70-some thousand range. I know there's counties out there where it would be in the 60,000s. If you go to Dickinson County, it's about $320,000 or $330,000 per capita. So their levy right now is probably a third of ours. But if you average those out, their levy would be about $3 higher than ours. Anyway, so it makes a difference, you know, whether a $350 levy, how much it'll bring in if you've got a $250,000 or $350,000 assessed value per capita, then some counties would be in the $60,000 range. So I will endeavor to bring that to their attention. I'm sure they're aware of that. I'll shut up.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty. Moving right along. Next we have set public hearing date to establish. Yep, that's where we're at. Set public hearing date to establish Class C road classification for 70th Avenue. Brian Carter, you wanna say anything on that?
Yeah, this is not a new topic by any stretch. This would be 70th Avenue, off of 99. You gotta get back all the way into a spot where the gravel road turns to dirt. It runs up a steep hill and kind of windy and everything else. And we received a petition in December, where all of the adjoining landowners except for one, signed a petition to have this converted to a sea-level road. So it would remain a county road, but it would be a sea-level, which is more or less a dirt road that's gated, I guess, would be the really layman's way to put that. I've sent letters to the landowners, adjacent landowners to the property. I've had a couple calls, I have some communication to pass on to you guys, but what this does is allows Sarah to go ahead and get this advertised so that you can hold a public hearing in a couple weeks. And I guess make your decision on whether you want to convert this to a sea-level road or not. I have had some correspondence that there will be some folks here supporting it. I don't know if there'll be any opposition. I do have one letter on my desk that's in opposition, and I will scan that in and send it to you guys, and I will also give it to you physically so you can present it. I told her that I would assure that would happen. So, yeah, that's all this is setting a date to follow through with the item we've been talking about on and off for almost a year, and actually for probably 6 or 7 years, because this was a topic a couple years back also, so.
Can I get a motion?
You got the dates on
February 14th, it doesn't have the date for the hearing, it's just,
We recommend
28th.
February 28th. That allows time for the proper advertisement and gets it done. I told the landowners we target February, and so if that works for you guys, and you guys are all three gonna be here, I would recommend February 28th. That's up to you guys.
there? Okay, I make a motion, we set public hearing for establishing Class C road on 70th Avenue on February 28th.
Second.
moved and second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes.
Thank you. And thanks to Sarah for helping us along on this.
That's nice. All right, 5D, this appointment to Danville City Council. Whereas the City Council accepted the resignation of Councilman Stephanie Heater at their February 6, 2023 meeting, her 4-year term ending December 31st, 2025. Whereas pursuant to Section 372.13 of the Code of Iowa, the council has elected to fill the vacancy by appointment. It shall be for the period until the next regular city election described in the Section 376.1 Code of Iowa. Unless there is an intervening special election for that city, in which event the election for the office shall be placed in a ballot at such special election. And whereas the next regular city election will be held November 7th, 2023, where mayor and council-elect will start their terms January 1st, 2024. Whereas this appointee will fulfill their duty as council member until December 31st, 2023. Whereas the city clerk will notify the Des Moines County Auditor's Office that the November 2023 ballot for the 2024 elections will need to add a 2-year council position, term ending December 31st, 2025. Therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Danville appoints Ben Heckenberg as the council member replacing Stephanie Heater with a term ending December 31st, 2023, and that's Heckenberg. Pass and approve the 6th day of February 2023. Jerry Strauss, Mayor.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have to approve that?
Pardon?
We have to approve that?
I don't know that you would. I mean, it's a city council issue.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I said this never came to us, but the city of Burlington did.
I'm wondering if maybe it was more an informational thing. Yeah, because it's a city council thing. They
So
would
just receive it.
determine.
We're just receiving this?
That doesn't have to do with,
Yeah.
because it could have a special election if it comes up.
They're having a
I
special
don't-
election for Burlington. They had to replace theirs for a 2-year term. This never came to us.
Yeah, I don't know that they would have to.
Who put it on the agenda?
Well, she asked me to. The city of Danville asked me to.
Sue?
I think we can just receive it.
Yeah, I don't know that the
I
board has to approve
Right, because
the
this is.
appointment of a city council member.
I
Okay,
rescind my,
He's rescinded it. Jim's not touching it. He rescinds. Tom, he's not even going.
Received.
Tom didn't even pick up a card this morning. Don't even get me started on that guy.
Don't worry, I'll have one by the time I get
I
there.
bet you will. We say working on it right now, bud. Only guys with wives can say that anyways, so. All right, moving right along. Now we have personnel actions, one for maintenance and one for the treasurer's office. Alex Snidler title lead maintenance for the maintenance department. It's an 18-month step increase effective February 23rd, 2023. Its previous rate of $35,970.20 will be elevated to $37,249.74. Okayed by Rodney Blazer. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. And then the next personnel action is for motor vehicles clerk. It is a new hire, and Davis Pool, right on, the treasurer. So the rate of pay will be $28,392.63, effective date February 21st. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. We have the clerk's monthly report of fees collected for January 23rd and the sheriff's monthly report of fees collected for January 2023. All these will be on file in the auditor's office. You can check them out at your leisure. Brings me to 5G for the minutes of the regular meeting for February 7th, 2023. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Okay, do we have any other business?
I have none.
Items? Future agenda items? Committee reports?
I attended the Emergency Management Commission meeting. We had a public hearing and approved the Emergency Management Fiscal '24 budget. Attended the conference board meeting. We approved the assessor's fiscal '24 preliminary budget. Joint Safety Committee met. We approved fiscal '24 budget and the member guidelines. The Southeast Iowa Link Mental Health and Disability Services region. We approved a potential merger of the Southeast Iowa Link and the South Central Behavioral Region. That seems like that's going to work out, so we thought maybe we'd beat the state to the punch before they assigned us to somebody we didn't want to be assigned to. And anyway, and that's all I have.
Is Ryan gonna still be the?
She's well, it looks like she will be the CEO, but right now she's their temporary
That's
CEO,
what I thought.
or interim CEO, and they need to approve it, and then the state won't let those merge. It would have to go to the state, and they would approve that merger. And there's also 2 other counties. I'm not sure what regions they're in. One of them's Marion. I'm not sure what counties they are, and we will extend an invitation to those counties. They'd like to break it up in judicial districts, and Des Moines County's in the 5th judicial district. So there's 2 other counties. What? Oh, I thought you said.
We're in the
Anyway, so
8th judicial district.
it's what?
We're in the 8th judicial district.
We're in the 8th judicial? Okay.
We're
well,
8B.
Whatever. Anyway, when we had the meeting in Ottumwa,
That's the fifth, that's.
They're
we have
8A.
that up there, that's the fifth.
They're 8A. Tom
8A.
was 8A.
Yeah, it's 8th judicial
And
district.
but we are the 8th judicial district. When I was on that board, I know that.
We're,
But
yeah,
we
we're
did-
8B, they're 8A.
Well, where do we go someplace where we're in the 5th district too.
There's a.
Fifth district was up by Des Moines.
Well, maybe it isn't judicial district, but there's some, anyway,
Yeah.
the state would like to have those districts matched. So there's 2 counties that are in neither Seal nor the South Central Behavioral Region. And right now, those names of those counties are not coming to me. But we will be extending an invitation to them too, and wait and see what they say and what the state says.
Well, I'd be ashamed if they didn't have Ryan to run it, because she's doing an excellent job,
She's-
the one we got.
We're really fortunate.
Yeah.
She's a talented individual.
I have Mississippi Valley Youth Board, and we're not hitting some numbers with some of the kids, which is not really comparing apples to apples because we take on the worst cases, but because we're not hitting some numbers, they're looking at possible readjustment on the funding, so everybody's kind of freaked out about that. That's really about all I've got to report. James?
I also attended the comp board over here Thursday night. I also had a meeting with Russ, and our yearly dues was set at $9,500. And outside of that, we raised all entities that we service about 3% on their bills, and just right across the board. And then I also attended a public health meeting that nobody came to but me.
Sure, it was the right day.
It was the wrong day.
You didn't serve treats, did you?
I called Krista up and she said, it's not the day. Here I sit in that room down at the hospital all by myself, you know, back in the corner.
No treats.
No treats. Came down, didn't get a treat.
Well, thanks for straightening me out, Krista, I appreciate that.
No problem. We'll do it next week.
Yeah,
Thursday.
next Thursday, yeah, I'm just 2 weeks early. That's all I had.
All righty then. This brings us to public input. We're going to give you 2 minutes. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to email us, you can do that at board@dmcounty.com, board@dmcounty.com, or you can call us at 319-753-8203, extension 4. That number again is 319-753-8203, extension 4. What's your phone number?
I've got it right.
I'll say if you can't reach us at that number, you can call Robert. He'll be glad to talk to you.
Just look me up.
Just look him up.
I'm in the phone.
So you got 2 minutes. Thomas, while we're waiting on 2 minutes, you and James tell us how you guys neglected and failed to pick up a card for your wives. And go.
Does a dozen roses count?
Oh, wow. Okay, I wasn't talking to you, James. Let's just talk about Tom.
Typical shortcoming.
It's an annual tradition.
I just want to know.
It's not annual, but it's not unheard of.
Did everybody wake up with a gift this morning? Did anybody not wake up? Sue did
Mrs.
not.
Broker didn't wake up with one.
We all know about that.
Mrs. Carter did not either, so.
I got mine 2 weeks ago.
I know Hy-Vee was
It's
very busy with children and those of the male persuasion, rummaging around the store in the flower section.
Are they still doing the cookies?
And it's the only time I've ever seen the card section actually full.
My husband got in trouble. He went to the town the other day and he always brings me the receipt so I can write it down, because he uses the debit card. He spent $9 on a stinking card. Go to Dollar
Inflation.
Tree, they're 50 cents.
Can't put a price on love.
And whatnot. Robert.
I sent an invoice to someone in Florida inside a Valentine's card and they got it today.
An invoice?
Yeah.
What do you do, Colin? Something IT fancy? You send your wife, it pops up on her
card?
phone, I love you with hearts or something like that?
She hasn't got everything yet, but got a little preliminary gift.
When somebody says she hasn't got everything yet, that means you've been slowful, you've been slowful. Where are we at on time, James?
I didn't look at the clock.
Feels like 2 minutes.
Well, as long as we're talking about some bills, I've got kind of an update for you guys, could affect us. The DOC, Department of Corrections, as they have looked at ways to, they're calling it for safety, but it's a lot about cost. They've struggled with hiring correctional officers, so they look at, lowering their numbers, their population numbers in their, the state prison system to have more of a safety factor for their correctional officers, as they should. But unfortunately, what's happened over the last couple of years is they haven't been able to fill those positions. And they've looked at their budget and seen the cost savings of not having to pay those wages. And they've decided, well, we can operate at this level, but we need to lower our inmate population. My concern is the long term that this will have on us in Moines County and our jails. Because of course, we already have this situation where we see people get sentenced to prison where they serve 10% of their time if it's not a mandatory minimum. And that's about an average. And they go away and then they come right back, and the kind of impact that will have both on crime rate, but also on those people sitting in our jails more often and longer. So that's a concern that we should be aware of. That's going to impact us here locally. When those inmates aren't going to be sitting somewhere else, then we're going to have to deal with them here much more often.
That's been impacting us for the last 3 to 4 years. Because every time we ask you how many's going up to Oakdale or how many's waiting to get in a room, just like now, you're gonna get rid of what, 16 people in the next 2 to 3 days? There were people at the state, we've been paying for them because they're understaffed.
And the other end of it is in some restructuring, currently the residential facility, the halfway house, they're very likely gonna come under the branch of the Department of Corrections. They currently operate under the judicial. Shane, you're on that board, that the restructure looks like they could move under the Department of Corrections, where they would have much more control over who goes in there. They currently already have control because they're funded by like 80% by the Department of Corrections. I learned last week that it's like a 2-to-1 ratio. So just because we're on the list first doesn't mean that our inmates are going there first. They'll take 2 out of the state prison system for every 1 of ours out of the weekend.
Yeah.
But they still have local control on some level. And I asked why that 2-to-1 ratio was there, and they said, well, it's because the state prison system is overpopulated and they need to get rid of people, and it's for budget concerns. And I said, well, we have those same concerns, and it seems like theirs are being addressed much quicker.
Well, they're addressing yours in Des Moines.
Yes.
They're coming from the opposite direction.
So there was a town hall last week in Ottumwa where the director of the Department of Corrections was there, and I wasn't able to be there, but there was a question submitted about that local impact, the crime rate, and how that's gonna impact it. They've taken that into consideration, and my understanding is they really haven't. They haven't looked at that. It's just about budgeting, and that's a concern.
Yeah, fix one budget problem and create 3 more.
At some point, we have to have a deterrent. Our people have to know that when they're going to commit a crime, that it's going to be dealt with, that they're going to go to prison. Unfortunately, they learn that if I am convicted, I want to get convicted quickly. I want to go to the prison system because I'll be back in a couple months. And that's a concern when especially the people that are routine offenders. They are very aware that they're going to only be gone a couple months, and it doesn't seem to bother them.
To get out of prison in a couple months.
On a 5-year, they're going to be about 6 months is what we're seeing, sometimes much less.
And I have 2 right now that are pending, and both of them, one committed a Class B drug felony and a litany of other charges. The other one committed a felony eluding, endangering a number of law enforcement officers. Both of them had only been out for a matter of months before they committed their new offenses.
the same ones you're gonna send away, they've been in the States, you know, waiting for Oakdale, waiting for them 17 people. That's cost us $850 a day is what it cost this Des Moines County, $850 a day, and the state does not reimburse us for that. That's wrong.
I would agree.
Huh?
I would agree. And that could obviously compound as we
And
see
that's
some
what's gonna
changes.
happen.
But the other thing is as we take our 8, our 9 that are going up tomorrow to Oakdale, that means that they've had to
Release 8 or 9.
release 9. And we're just one county, obviously, we're not having the impact that like Lynn or Polk is having. But to make room for them, that means they've gotta parole out those 9. So they're waiting on those beds, and
The question, when they go to Oakdale, are they released? I thought they went to Oakdale for classification and then sent to,
Depends on how long they're gonna be there.
okay, and then they
If they're
would,
only gonna serve a few months, they'll just keep them in
Keep 'em
Oakdale
there.
and then discharge them.
and if they do go to Fort Madison or someplace, that means they're releasing those 9 from Fort Madison.
Yeah, they determine what their needs are. The other, and sorry, Kevin, I
No, go
hate
ahead.
to do this to you in advance, but I'll just warn you. What it will also do for us is when we get somebody like on, for instance, a criminal mischief, 2nd degree, which is right now a Class D felony, we may be more inclined to, as prosecutors, well, we'll let you plead to the aggravated misdemeanor, but you're gonna do 364 days in the county jail to avoid prison. So we're also gonna see it from that perspective, because at some point, as prosecutors, we have to be recommending sentences that serve as that deterrent, and if we know the prison system can't be it, we'll use the Des Moines County Jail to do so.
and that,
Now, does that come out of the attorney's budget then?
It does not.
Attorneys
The
or
other- and the other-
sheriff's office, it's all the same,
And the other
right?
concern about the halfway house becoming under the purview of the Department of Corrections, where we may be inclined to recommend a suspended sentence with the halfway house, we may no longer do that, and we may, again, divert to that aggravated misdemeanor, because otherwise, either way, they're gonna be sitting in the county jail for X amount.
And obviously, I'm not here to speak for the judges, but in that meeting that we had those same discussions, judges obviously have to be aware that these sentences aren't seeing that amount of time, but they can sentence to 364 days in our jail. And they
We
can
have
make,
discretionary sentencing in associate court that we don't have in district court.
Is there any way we can take these criminals and put them on a bus like they do down in Texas and send them someplace?
That is, we have a judge who used to do that with Missouri and Illinois residents.
Yeah?
That is unconstitutional, unfortunately.
Dang.
dang,
We used to have a judge that made a condition of his sentence that you never return to the state of Des Moines County.
That's unconstitutional.
Apparently, apparently the Constitution just came in.
But I would agree, over the last several years, we've seen populations go up, and there's probably some other factors that have impacted that. But the closing of MHI, or the severe reduction in numbers of beds, but also the lowering the population of the state prison system, having people in the places where they need to be, has resulted in a lot of those people being in our county jail. A lot of the impact has been had there, increasing those numbers. But with changes like this, I don't see those numbers softening.
This guy.
Thank you,
Well,
Kevin.
Kevin, you didn't make my day for me, but thank you.
Well, that's what he's about, making everybody happy. Not. So, we're about to close. In closing, I would like to close with a little poetry. Roses are red, violets are blue. With an eye, we're adjourned. How about you?
Aye.
Aye.
All righty then. We're out of here.
That's a new title.
How long did you sit thinking about
I was just gonna ask
I
that.
was thinking about while you were talking. My mind just went there. I mean, your hair was flying. It just kind of came to me.
Oh.
There you go.